Hello and welcome to the FLW TV betting show. Another episode on this fine Friday morning. My name is George Harbey, your host as ever, and I'm joined by betting show regular and Wignall. Ben, how are you doing?
Very well after last weekend, nailing the banker at a decent price. Hopefully, I've got a few more winners today for the weekend.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm about to get up to the banker in a minute. Ben picked out a winner last week, so it's the first time for everything. Billy Mulley, your betting show debut. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Hoping that it's not an embarrassing one, but we'll wait and see.
Yes, we will wait and see. Yes, Championship League 1, League 2, all in action this weekend. Things you'd love to see. As always, make sure you subscribe to FLW TV on YouTube, pop us a follow on Twitter, and make sure you're 18 and over. And please gamble responsibly. Right, as ever, let's get into the banker first up. And who better to start with than the man who landed? What was it last week, Ben? What was your pick last week, and what's your pick for this weekend?
It was Sheffield United last week away at Hull. I got them at 29 to 20, which I thought was a ridiculous price. And I thought it was a hard set of fixtures this week to pick from. I think what we saw last week, the likes of, Portsmouth losing at home to Cambridge and Derby beating Stoke, Peterborough, Birmingham. I think you could basically throw common sense out the window when you're looking at last week's fixtures. So I've managed to pick one out. I've narrowed it down to only a couple. And I think Leighton Orient at home to Mansfield, the form both of those teams are in. I think Orient at 6-5 are a very good price for a banker. Mansfield, even though they've got a good squad and a good manager for League Two in Nigel Clough, they've not really started well. They've not won for 6 matches in the league, which is a surprise considering the summer business they've done. Orient are unbeaten in four. They've won 3 of those, and I said at the start of the season there'd be no surprise if they were up there because of Kenny Jackett's ability as a manager and the business they've done, and playing very well at the minute. And I can see it continuing at home against Mansfield tomorrow. So they're my banker at 6-5.
Very well. We'll see if you can make it 2-2. Billy, what's your bank for this weekend then?
Well, I'm dipping into League One, and I've got Plymouth to beat Doncaster at 4-5, and I think Plymouth have pretty much surprised everyone with their start to the season. Ryan Hardy, Luke Jeffcott, all firing already, and they narrowly missed out on a chance to go top of the league with a late Portsmouth equaliser midweek. But I think at 4-5 to beat a Doncaster side who have really, really struggled so far this year. They did win last weekend, but it was a scrappy 1-0 win against Morecambe. Sorry, I just can't see Doncaster getting anything from this game, and I think Plymouth have got all the confidence. They beat Sheffield Wednesday the other week, completely dominated them from in every position, and not many teams will do that to Sheffield Wednesday this season, and I think they'll continue by winning this game quite convincingly.
Very interesting. I promise I'm not copying Ben this week, but I've gone with one in the Championship, Sheffield United to win at home to Derby at 3-5 on Sky. I just think, I said on previous shows as well, I just think Sheffield United are just finding the groove now. Obviously, had that 6-2 win over Peterborough. Preston holding to a late draw the other week, and obviously convincing win at Hull at the weekend. I just think when they're on song, and you've seen the impact Morgan Gibbs-White has made since joining, and Conor Hervan's made a pleasing impact as well. I just think they're going to have too much for Derby, really, and I think Derby, credit to them. Obviously, tough week for them. Sold out away, anything is going to be playing with plenty in heart and spirit. They beat Stoke last weekend, but I just think away from home at Bramall Lane, which is a tough place to go at the moment, I just think Sheffield United have got all the confidence in the world, and I just think if you look, pound for pound on paper, the squad. Sheffield United got compared to Derby. I just think they're going to have too much for him. So you can get that price at 3-5 on Sky Bet. Right there, let's move into our Acca time. Right then, Ben Wignall, your accumulator this weekend then, please.
Yeah, before I go into this, I'd just say you've done me a bit dirty because I've got 2 bankers in a row. I got Wigan the week before, so I don't think you were here though. So
give him.
I'll let you off on that one. So I'm looking for 3 in a row. My Acca anyway, I've obviously got Orient on there as the first one. It's a 4-fold this week. Plymouth's on there as well. That was my other one that I was considering. So I'm glad Billy's gone with that one. Like he said, I think Harbey and Jeff Cotter in very good form at the minute. And I'm not sure if Doncaster are in the pole position or not. They've had some pretty tough games to start the season. But I just think Plymouth look really solid all over the park. I've gone with Wigan against Cheltenham. I think Wigan are scoring for Fundy. Netted 4 against Accrington last week away. Charlie Wykes started to score. And I think Cheltenham, I saw him on Tuesday night. Quite a lot of the players will probably be playing on Saturday, and they've lost probably one of the most creative players in Callum Wright for about 6 months on loan from Leicester to a knee injury. So that won't help them going into this. And I've also gone with Nottingham Forest now. I think I went for Huddersfield against Forest in my Acca last week. And obviously that backfired. They seemed to be really impressive last week, Forest. And obviously with the new manager bound, Stephen Reid stayed on the coaching staff. He seems to have done something to turn their fortunes around last week. And I just think Steve Cooper coming in and, revitalising that squad, I think you can get the better of a tough Millwall team. But obviously, with the attacking players Forest have got, if they're all on song, then I think they should be too strong for Millwall. So that fourfold of Forest, Orient, Plymouth and Wigan pays, last time I checked last night, William Hill, 19.27 to 1.
Very good price, that is. If any fans want to comment, make sure you comment on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. Do agree with our picks so far. Forest fans, if you're watching, do you reckon Steve Cooper will get a first win in charge against Millwall tomorrow? Right then, Billy, your accumulator, please.
Well, I've gone for a fivefold for my debut, starting with a Blackburn win against Cardiff. I think Blackburn have started the season quite strongly. I know pressure was supposedly on Tony Mowbray for not bringing in a striker, but I think they've dealt with the fact that they haven't brought in a striker very well, with Gallagher and Brereton Diaz firing, Tyrese Dolan as well playing up in that forward line, causing problems all the time. Cardiff, 3 defeats in 4. They're starting to struggle a little bit. They've been criticised for being a little bit too one-dimensional. And I can't see anything else but Blackburn continuing their good start to the season. And their only defeat has come against West Brom this season, back when West Brom were firing. So they're proven to be tough to beat, and they've got the attacking talent to cause problems as well. And I thought it was, as Ben said before, quite a difficult championship lineup this week, but I've gone for a second one in the championship, and that's Stoke to beat Hull. Stoke have been excellent at the start of the season. Excellent win as well midweek against Watford. Youthful defence that's performing really well. I think Harry Souttar's the oldest, most senior figure in that defence, and he's only 23. But they're performing well. They're a strong back line. They create chances from the defence as well, and it's a good time to be a Stoke fan. They play against Hull, obviously, who have struggled for goals, struggled to create chances. I think having Honeyman back in contention might help, but I just can't see them doing enough to earn anything in that game. And then I dropped down to League Two, Forest Green to beat Tranmere. Forest Green got a 4-point lead at the top of the division, started very well, recruited well in the summer. We've got a talent pretty much all across the pitch, and they play a Tranmere side who quite a lot of people probably would have fancied this season, but they've struggled away from home, yet to win away from home. And then I go for Leyton Orient, who are second, and they've made also a very good start considering the teams they've had to play. A lot of promotion hopefuls in there, and they play Mansfield, who, as Ben said before, have a very good manager in Nigel Clough and have a decent squad, but they've really struggled to kick on. And for that reason, I think Leyton Orient will win that. And my last one is Exeter to beat Hartlepool. Exeter now unbeaten in the last 6 games, and after a bit of a dodgy start, they've seemed to get back on track. As I said, unbeaten in 6 and convincing wins against Scunthorpe and Sutton in the last 2 games. So I think they'll continue that. That's 41.1 to 1. So I think that's quite a long shot, but definitely doable.
Definitely worth considering. Yes, very much so. Any fans, as I said, want to get your comments in there. Who is on your accumulator this week? Make sure you let us know via Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Mine, as you'll see below now, we've mentioned some of the teams already. The only new one there is Rochdale. I think they're playing Oldham at home. Local derby, which kind of goes against my principles of betting on local derbies. But I just think Oldham at the minute, they drew last time out, but they've lost every game apart from one. Before that, in a bit of a very tricky position off the pitch with the owners. There's been protests and each of the last few home games. I just think Rochdale are going along really nicely in League Two, and Robbie Stockdale obviously winning 3 of the last 5 games, unbeaten in the last 5 as well. Got a good striker up top in Danny Cashman, who seems to be scoring as well. So I think Rochdale at home a decent odds, a decent price for that one. I think I also agree with Ben. I think Forest are definitely worth a shout. I just think that obviously the change formation last weekend, I think they're going to stick with that. I just think it will really suit them tomorrow. And I just think at home, new manager bounce, Millwall aren't doing the best, but they're solid enough. But I just think Forest will have that one. And as I said as well, Sheffield United at banker, Plymouth Argyle, Stoke as well, I think is a very, a good shout. I think Hull have only scored 1 goal since they beat Preston 4-1. I keep mentioning that every time because Ben's on air. The win at Preston first game, but struggling for goals and creating chances. And Stoke, a very good team. I just see them picking that one up, and I think that one is 18-1. My accumulator on Sky Bets. Right, let's move into our value tip. Yep. Send in your comments. Here's your value tip for this weekend. Obviously, the price we think is very low for the selection it is. Ben, what have you gone with this week?
I was looking at Reading to beat Middlesbrough, the 12:30 kickoff tomorrow, but then I noticed that they've not got a single fit centre back Reading for tomorrow. Don't think Scott Dan's fully fit and the rest of them are injured, so I swerved that one, and I now can realise why they are nearly 2-1. Gone for Northampton away at Salford, the 13-5, which I think is pretty ludicrous considering the form of both teams. I know Salford beat Bradford a few weeks back 1-0 at home, but I think apart from that, they've been in pretty poor form. They lost to Tranmere 2-0 last week, and Northampton just seem to be ticking by quite just solidly, winning 1-0 or a 1-1. I think they've only conceded twice in the last 5 league games. The 4th in the league, and they just seem to have a very stable squad. They're not really blowing teams away, but they're just really doing enough. And I can see potentially, like a 1-0 away win from a set piece kind of thing happening here. So 13-5 for Northampton away at Salford. Obviously, Salford have got a strong squad, but they don't seem to be clicking right now under Gary Boyer. So I think 13-5 for Northampton away is a very, very good price.
I think a certain Billy Mulley might have a certain thing to say about your Reading or tip to avoid Reading. Billy, what's your value tip for this weekend?
Yeah, well, I think Ben's throwing me under the bus here, but I've got Reading to beat Middlesbrough with both teams to score, because with Reading this season, what we've seen, they've been involved with lots of goals. They've been involved with 33 goals in 8 games, scoring 15 and conceding 18, which is higher than any other team in the EFL. So one thing that we've come to expect is goals, and I think that will continue against Middlesbrough. I think things are starting to click, and before Ben provided me with that stat about the centre backs, I was quite confident with this. But I'll still try and take confidence with it. In terms of going forwards, things are starting to click. Going likes of Swift, likes of Ajaria, Halilovic as well on the wing is also looking like a decent addition. Middlesbrough, they're not proven to be as defensively strong as we've come to expect in recent years, and as well as that, they're starting to fire up top. I think the addition of Spora and Piazza as well, I think they're both 2 very good forwards at this level, and that's why I can see them scoring a goal. Add to that centre back crisis that's emerging at Reading, and then I think there'll be goals, and I think Reading might just edge it.
Any Reading fans watching live right now or afterwards, make sure you send in the comments. Can you see the Royals picking up a win against Borough this weekend? and also Northampton as well. Can you see yourself getting a win at Salford? My value tip, and I'm sure Chris Thorpe will be a happy man, is AFC Wimbledon to win at Shrewsbury, 7-4. I'm sure you can get that 2-1 in some places. Just touching on Shrewsbury first of all, I mean, they are showing slight signs of improvement. They've drawn the last 2 games, but anyone wants this season, and just a lot of defeats, and it doesn't seem to be an overly happy camp there under Steve Cotterill. So I think they're vulnerable. I know Wimbledon obviously lost to Arsenal in midweek in the Carabao Cup, but hardly disgraced themselves against some good players. Give it a right go, and I think we always predict there's going to be goals in Wimbledon's games. I mean, I think me and you, Ben, predicted goals in our wildcard for Wimbledon last week against Plymouth, and it finished 1-0 to Plymouth. But on the road, Wimbledon seems to be doing really well. I mean, they've only lost once, and they've picked up 7 points on the road this season. And I just think at 2-1, you're going to get goals with Wimbledon, hopefully. And they always seem to play the game no matter where they go and who they play. So I just think this weekend Shrewsbury's home form has been very patchy. I just see the Dons getting back to winning ways on the road. And I said that's 7-4 on Sky, but I'm sure you get that at 2-1 in other places. Right then, let's move into our final segment, which is the wild card. Yeah, as always, a bit of fun with these ones. And Ben Wignall has gone with another out there pick, shall we say, this week. Ben, do you want to go through it?
Yeah, well, I just mentioned Northampton perhaps getting a 1-0 win over Salford, what that kind of result. And I've gone with a scorecast double for this wildcard tip. I've gone with 2 1-0 away wins. I've gone with a Cardiff 1-0 away win over Blackburn. They just seem like the kind of game that Blackburn will try and attack them. They've got obviously a very big, solid defence, Cardiff, and it's been breached a few times in the last few weeks. But I can just see them going up there to Ewood Park and perhaps getting a Flint or a Morrison header from a set piece and taking the 3 points back to South Wales. And then the other game I've gone with is Bradford to beat Crawley 1-0 away. I think Crawley picked up a win last week, but they've not really been in great form this season. They've been leaking quite a lot of goals as well, so it's probably quite optimistic to go for a 1-0 in one of their games. Bradford have been a bit up and down in recent weeks as well, but again, they've got a strong squad for League Two level, and it just seems like the kind of game, the kind of team where they might just get out of there with all 3 points and just scrape a narrow win. That double, 1-0 double pays 62-1 on Sky Bet.
Let's see if that comes in then. Billy, what have you gone with this week?
Well, you said this one's about fun, and I don't think I'm following suit with this because I've gone Cheltenham 0, Portsmouth 0, and I know Marcus Ali will not be too happy with me for this one. But they're 2 promotion hopefuls that are really struggling and bang out of form, and probably both in a position where they don't want to lose this. I know Adkins' job is being talked about at the moment, and I think Cowley, if it's another defeat, then he might be in a little bit of trouble. Cheltenham, in terms of scoring goals, only the bottom 3, and Burton have scored fewer, highlighting their problems going forward. And Portsmouth have only Sheffield Wednesday have conceded fewer goals than Portsmouth, so a 0-0 result looks like it could actually happen there.
Very interesting. And my wild card, I mean, I've gone with I always go with both teams scoring both halves, and only putting a double, but I thought this week, let's go a bit more realistic and go with only one selection. So I've gone with Morecambe Accrington, both teams scoring both halves, 12-1 on Sky. Bit of a local derby, I think. I'm not too clued up on the Northwest knowledge as much as Ben is, but Morecambe and Accrington in League One, both, again, like Wimbledon, both like scoring goals, but also letting them in at the other end. Morecambe's last few games have been a 4-3, there's been a 3-1, a 2-1, a 2-2. Accrington has been a 4-1, a 2-1. And also looking at the head-to-head from the last few times they've played each other, I never normally like to bet on local derbies because, as I said, they're quite cagey and scrappy affairs. But 2-1, 2-1, 3-2, 2-2. There's a 5-1 not so long ago as well. So I don't know. As I always say, when you have a feeling there's going to be goals, you have a feeling there's going to be goals. So we'll have to wait and see if that one. But as I said, 12-1 on Sky, and see if we can get it anywhere, a higher price anywhere else. Right, let's round off then. Yep, so that rounds off our betting show for the weekend. Hopefully, we get a few picks right. As always on FOW TV, there is plenty more to come. At 12:30, we've got a Middlesbrough Club takeover with Sam Rourke and the guys from Borough Breakdown. And also at 2 p.m, we're going to be previewing the weekend's action with Alfie, Billy, and Marcus. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to FOW TV on YouTube. Thanks again for watching live. Make sure you put your comments in and give us a follow on Twitter. But until then, goodbye.